My claim was that I cannot relate to the main character, Reina Grande, as our lives were very different. My first reason to why I cannot relate is my parents. My evidence is that my parents never left me alone while they went away to another country. In the first half of the book, Reina writes about her life while she waited for her mother and father to return. This by itself is an experience that I cannot relate to, as it has never happened to me. My second piece of evidence is my family's financial position. While my family before I was born did have many struggles with money, I never had to experience that, as my mom and dad got their act together shortly before I was born, unlike Reina, who had to live in poverty throughout the first half of the book. In short, our parents were very different and made sure to give me the best life they could give, unlike Reina, who had to be raised by her extended family and siblings. This brings me to the second reason I cannot relate to Reina. My second reason to why I have trouble relating is our siblings. My siblings were much older than I was, unlike Reina, whose siblings were only a few years older than her. My brother and sister were 16 and 15 years older than me respectively, and because of that I didn't get to bond with them as much as Reina did. I didn't have to be raised by them like Reina. I didn't have to rely on them. My second piece of evidence for this is, while in Mexico, my siblings never worked actual jobs. In the book, Reina's siblings Mago and Carlos both get jobs in Mexico at some point, but my brother and sister never did that. Sure, they sometimes went to the family orchard to help out our grandfather, but they never treated it like an actual job. The life of my own siblings is slightly different from those of Reina's own, and the culture that we grew up around was very different. This brings me right to the third reason I can't relate, is because of where I was born and raised. My evidence for this is I was born in the US. Although both my brother and sister were born in Mexico, I was born in the United States and raised here, unlike Reina, who was born in Mexico and raised, for the most part, in Mexico. Speaking of which, I was raised in a mostly Americanized version of the Mexican culture. Although my family tried their best to keep Mexican traditions and culture alive around me, I still was raised in America, which means that I was also raised with many events and holidays that Americans typically celebrated, such as Halloween instead of Dia de los Muertos. To summarize, the place I was raised and the culture I was raised around was vastly different from that of Reina's. It is for these reasons that I find it hard to relate to the early life of Reina Grande.